Everybody pay attention. Shh, Ian, pay attention.
Welcome to Freedom's broadcast. I am here to bring you international news. Most Americans were in support of the holding on to what we can get mindset. Open door notes called upon the government to honor trade agreements with China and to not impose restrictions on normal trade. In 1893, Americans in Hawaii disposed of Queen Liliuokalani. America annexed Hawaii in 1898. In 1895, Cuba revolted. Spain's brutal response encouraged Americans to favor Cuban independence. The April 20, 1898 decision recognized Cuban independence and allowed the president to use force to expel Spain from the area. It also stated that Americans had no intention on annexing Cuba. This helped revive American patriotism and furthered sectional reconciliation needed following the Civil War. Spain eventually agreed to evacuate Cuba and cede Puerto Rico and Guam to the United States. Cuban freedom, however, did not end poverty, illiteracy, and their crashing economy. So, to help fix problems, America created a military government in 1898. Eventually, the military was withdrawn, and a constitutional convention met in 1900 without American interference. The Foraker Act of 1900 established a civil government for Puerto Rico. In August of 1898, America occupied the Philippines. Their fate was decided at a peace conference later that year in October. President Taft became the first civilian governor of the Philippines. In spite of the Clayton-Bulwer Treaty of 1850, the United States favored an American-owned canal and disposed of the treaty in 1901 when the Hay-Ponsford Agreement was passed. When Panamans rebelled against Colombia in 1903, the United States quickly moved to recognize and ensure Panama's independence. Soon after their independence was gained, the United States negotiated a treaty which gave America a 10-mile-wide canal zone for the Panama Canal.
Are you an immigrant who needs help to find a job and food and more? Then come to New York's Lower East Side. Unlike New York City's William Marcy Tweed, I will not steal millions of dollars. Instead, all that money will go towards you. If you are homeless, I will provide you with anything you may need, especially during the holidays. If you are in legal trouble and need help, I can get you out of any predicament. If you are poor and have children, they will be provided with new shoes once every year. I offer you a fun time with summer boat rides and picnics for old and young alike. Come to New York's Lower East Side, and your life will be better in every way. You can count on me.
Welcome back to Freedom's broadcast. Here's our segment on Across the Country. Over the last several years, immigration has been running rampant throughout the United States. In previous years, most immigrants have come from Northern and Western Europe, but recently the immigrants have come from Southern and Eastern Europe. The immigrants are being attracted to America by the demand for labor and industrial expansion in the United States, since many European countries are facing political upheaval and religious persecution. The new immigrants are being transported to the United States by steamships because they are more safe and speedy. The immigrants arrive in America and settle into ethnic enclaves away from the many nativists. The nativists are not taking well to the new immigrants because of strict competition for jobs. They fear that the job security for citizens is at risk, which is a possibility in the future. With jobs becoming scarce, the government has attempted to enforce laws that limit immigration, but those laws have not been strictly enforced. Now on to social trends.
Charles Darwin's theory of evolution certainly has influence in almost every field of knowledge, but not so much the philosophical values. Darwin's theories claim that the biblical account of creation was false. Charles S. Peirce argued that concepts could be fairly understood only in terms of their practical effects. William James presented pragmatism in more understandable language and contributed to the establishment of psychology as a scientific discipline. Pragmatism seems to suggest that the ends justify the means. Frederick Winslow Taylor's method of analyzing every step and movement in the manufacturing process has led to the workers being taught the best way to perform each function. Stay tuned after the commercial break for In Your Neighborhood.
These days it seems as though there is never enough money to go around. With economic panic and deflation of prices plaguing our country, it may seem as if there is no solution. The solution to all our economic woes is to stop using gold specie and to support free silver. Supporting free silver will help the value of prices in silver to increase steadily, pumping money into our economy. The increase in the supplies of silver will benefit all and get the government involved in the fight to save our nation's perishing economy. Down with the gold standard and move forward with free silver.
Our segment on In Your Neighborhood. Have you seen women out and about lately more than usual? Well, that's because our women are starting to work outside the homes as nurses, elementary school teachers, and secretaries. Our working women are still pushing to gain managerial and entrepreneurial positions, but are facing strong opposition from our male-dominated society. These women are not the only group making progress in our society. The middle-class lifestyle has enormous disparities in the ways of living and lifestyle. Most modern-class families are resorting to having fewer children because of their substantial disparities in wages. Many of these people, but not all, have issues with their working conditions, which are resulting in bitter strikes. The few people who are not showing discontent towards their jobs are calling for naturalization. As the gap between rich and poor widens, many citizens are drawn to the idea of classless society, but the idea of mobility is a high point in the lives of the poor and the middle class. Now to our segment on education.
Harvard is leading the way for curriculum reform, and Johns Hopkins University pioneered the modern research university and professional graduate education in America. Vassar College started the establishment of women's colleges. John Dewey believes that schools should center on the child and that the new information should relate to the child's existing knowledge. Stay tuned after this commercial break for arts and entertainment.
I am William McKinley, and I support this message.
Who do you want to run your country? A young, inexperienced speaker, or a man with a distinguished war record and experience in government that includes being governor of Ohio and serving in Congress for 20 years? A Democrat, a party known for its attempt to secede, or a Republican, a party known for fighting to keep the country together? An unknown, or a man known for his honesty and good judgment? A man who is running on the same party as Grover Cleveland did, the man who showed little interest in the suffering of the people? Or a man who is running on the same party as Abraham Lincoln did, the man who helped save the Union? Compare the two men put before you. Which one do you want to run this beautiful country? Which one would you put your money behind? Vote William McKinley for President of the United States of America.
Welcome back to Freedom's Broadcast. I'm here to provide you with the news on arts and entertainment. Novelists are beginning to examine social problems like slums, political corruption, and the struggle between labor and money. Mark Twain's works provide a brilliant and biting insight into society. William Dean Howells is interested in the darker side of industrialism. Some of these authors went beyond realism to naturalism. Henry James focused on the clash between European and American cultures and the corrupt relationships found in high society. The art retained romantic tradition. Thomas Eakins is using film to study people and animals in motion. Winslow Homer is using all the realist techniques for accuracy and detail to enhance its sometimes romantic land and seascapes. Pinkham Ryder draws upon the sea for its inspiration. Next up is spectator sports.
Have been booming lately in this modern age. Sports such as golf, tennis, baseball, boxing, football, and basketball have become spectator sports over the course of previous years. These sports are most commonly spectated in the cities because of the large populations. These sports are creating an entirely new area in the United States society. Who knows what the future will hold if these sports stay strong? Now to a commercial break.
Support the People's Party. We must rise together and silence the voices of doubt among us. Farmers, workers, we must band together as one. All are welcome to join the fight for freedom. We are the blood in the veins of America. The rich businessmen with their monopolies take all the wealth. Now it is time for us to fight back and take what is ours. Bankers, railroad heads, and businessmen all robbing us of our wealth. They sit high and mighty while we suffer from the deflation of prices and job insecurity. Vote for Bryan for president. He will ensure that our demands are met. Let us not be crucified upon a cross of gold. McKinley gives speeches on his front porch, but Bryan takes action to protect our rights and ensure that justice is done. Support the People's Party and vote for Bryan.
Thank you for watching Freedom's Broadcast. Tune in next week for our segment on the Roaring Twenties.
What are you doing?
Hi, my name is Barbie, and I am going to bring you your news today. Welcome to Freedom's Broadcast. I prepared sexism and furthered sexual reconciliation.
Safe and speedy.
20th, 1918. Frederick Windlow. I'm gonna kill you!